tardes, Nogalenses. Aquí ando in Nogales High School. We're here with some of the students from the IB World History Program. Is that what it is? Or what's the name of the program that you guys actually are?
It's the IB program.
IB program, okay. And now this is we're here to talk to them about the Zapata film, but we're also going to talk a little bit about the program itself because it's actually very cool. It's one of the few programs in the United States that actually teaches Mexican history. And this goes beyond just recent modern Mexican history. This goes all the way to indigenous peoples, to the Aztecs, to the Toltecs, right?
Yes.
And we're actually surrounded by some murals painted by some of you guys that depict Mexican history, that are depictions of some of Diego Rivera's.
We did that one over there.
That's the one that has to do with Zapata, right?
Yeah.
Very, very cool. We're going to show that one right now too. So introductions. Let's start off left to right, director first, however you guys want to do it. Introduce yourself.
My name is Jason Angel Canizales Galaviz, and I am the director and editor of the movie Zapata.
Okay, awesome.
My name is Jasmine Guzman, and I was one of the extras in the film.
My name is Edgar Iram Tavera Montiel, and I was the protagonist in the film Zapata.
Zapata.
My name is Carlos Armando Alvarez Macias. I worked on the script, on the narration, and on the subtitles.
My name is Ashley Pack. I was an actress in the film. I helped with props and the costumes.
Very cool. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you guys are supposed to be in class right now, but we worked it out for you guys to come here into the library with us and do this. So you were talking about the program right now, and before we get into the movie, let's just discuss this. What are your feelings about this program and the fact that you guys are learning something about your culture that a lot of people, a lot of Mexican Americans aren't learning?
What I love about this program is the history itself that it teaches. I love the fact that you get to know more about the Americas. Like, I would have never thought in my life I would study South American history, Simón Bolívar, the revolutions, the Mexican Revolution. That's something I really loved, to know more of where I come from and where all this is from. I think this is an opportunity for students to be open-minded, to know what the situation in their countries are, to not just know what the United States and just the United States alone, to get to know their fellow countrymen, to know their history, their culture, and I feel it enriches that a lot.
Awesome. Very, very cool. So you guys are all seniors?
Yes.
Right? So you guys are about to graduate, right?
Yeah.
Excited? Yeah. Plans? U of A?
If I get accepted to Stanford.
Stanford, nice.
Yeah, U of A.
U of A? U of A. Okay, so four U of A's and Stanford right in the middle, huh? Well, they're both very, very good schools, and that's awesome. You guys have plans on what you guys plan on pursuing, filmmaking or history? Either one of them in the future? No, neither one of them. Just something that you guys are working on for right now, huh?
Yeah.
Now, in fact, speaking of that, I was talking to your teacher, Mr. Brandon, earlier, and he said that you guys had options of different projects that you could do, and it could be a film or it could be a local history book or something like that. Why did you guys choose to do a film?
The reason I think film was much better is because it's like a visual tool. It's like a visual book. So it's like taking a class instead of hearing a lecture and just reading about it. People just get over like the majority of them get bored, and they don't really pay attention after a certain amount of time, unless you get a surprise test, and I have to study for it, I have to pay attention. But I feel a movie, it's much more enjoyable. You get to connect with the characters, you get to see a story, you get to see music, you get to hear music, and you get to engage with the history itself. And then it's knowledge you can apply later.
I'd like to make a note that as a writer, he just destroyed my entire profession. Dissing books. I'm just kidding. So movies are better than books. I'm just kidding. No, but that's awesome. You're right. Movies do offer something that it's less of a time investment and more emotional investment when you're actually watching the movie in front of you and seeing this play out in front of your face. You can actually insert yourself in the story in the visual sense, which is very cool. I think that it's a great project. I saw the trailer, and we're going to take a quick moment to show the trailer real quick. So So that was the trailer. Now, why did you guys choose these little pieces of the movie to put this trailer together? I saw the trailer; it was very well made, very well put together. Why did you choose those sections of the film?
The reason why I chose those sections is that some sections that show the most intense parts too, because people like action. So there is action in the Mexican Revolution. There are some parts where it's more calm, where planning at the beginning when the music starts. So it there shows the main characters of the story that it's gonna be talking about. Of course, not all of the characters resemble the original ones like Porfirio Diaz, but in my opinion, I was trying to catch the attention of the people instead of like displaying like history in a way.
Now, why Zapata? Was that something that you guys were assigned? Did you choose to pick this section of history, or?
So the reason why we chose Zapata is because, so as I said, this is a history class. So we were studying the Aztecs, we were studying South American history, Central America, and then Mexico as well, and some of the things in Spain. But since the previous year had already done something on the Aztecs, something on many years ago, Mr. Brandon gave us the option to do something on something we were going to study, and we all decided at the end to do something on the Mexican Revolution and decided to focus on the Mexican hero Zapata.
All right, now for people who don't know Mexican history very much, you guys want to give them a breakdown on who Zapata was, what the Mexican Revolution was about, and things like that? I think, yeah, from Zapata himself, right?
Okay, well, Zapata was a revolutionary who believed the law in supporting the people instead of the government that was so powerful at the time. And so when the revolution broke out with Francisco Madero in, 1910, he was one of the main revolutionaries that rose up against Porfirio Diaz's government. And he fought a lot for land reform and liberty and equal rights for all. So it was really interesting to make a film about him.
Very, very cool. And how did it feel playing Zapata?
Well, it was more or less similar to my actual character, because Zapata was a very serious man. He wasn't very charismatic like another revolutionary like Villa. But it was interesting to see his ideology portrayed through actions instead of just words on text.
Very cool. Very, very cool. What did you do to prepare for the role? I mean, like you said you identified with him already, but was there anything extra that you did to prepare for this role, to insert yourself into his shoes?
Well,
into Zapata zapatos?
Well, for as far as the acting goes, I think I tried to memorize my lines and try to think like he did, the unfairness of the time period and what he was going through at the time to better portray his character. Very,
very cool. Awesome. So I want to hear from all of you real quick, even the extra. So let's pass the microphone over to her real quick. So you were an extra, but what was your character? And
her name is Amelia.
Okay.
She was a soldadera.
Okay.
So she formed herself into a man so she could have power.
Yeah, see, that's not an extra, that's a character. Good job. That's awesome. And that's how she got into the revolution to fight, huh? Very, very cool. Now, what did you do to prepare for your character? Did you go around dressing like a dude?
Well, not really.
No, okay, that's fine. That's probably for the best. So, did you enjoy your character? You did?
It was fun.
Very, very cool. All right, let's move it back on down this way. All right. Well, okay, sure. Yeah, let's start right there. All right. So, you were a script writer. You worked on costumes.
Oh, I wasn't a script writer.
Okay, but you did. What did you help on aside from?
I helped with the props and the costumes.
Props.
I made sure that for the guys that their mustaches and beards were on correctly.
Okay, very cool.
I helped them find their hats and stuff like that.
Very cool. And how did you feel working on the role? Oh, well, not your role. Your role in the film.
Well, my role in the film, I played Zapata's wife's servant, I guess. Her servant. It was just a small snippet of the movie, but I had to speak Spanish, which I don't speak Spanish.
You don't speak Spanish?
It was fun to memorize lines.
How did she do with the Spanish?
Pretty good.
She did good? Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But just helping with the costumes and the beards and just helping out with the props, it was fun.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. All right, scriptwriter and What else did you?
Well, I wasn't the main scriptwriter. We also have
Nicole was the
Nicole
main scriptwriter.
Rios, yeah. Who
Actually,
was
do you want to talk
present.
about Nicole before you go into yourself, since she's not here with us? Let's talk about Nicole really quick.
Yeah, well, this year, by the end, we were reaching the end of our movie, and we didn't have much of the scenes because we added more scenes. So Nicole took the task on to write down all the script, most of it, and she revamped like many of the other previous. How do I explain it? Because it was a group effort at first. We all had our part to do the script, but Nicole like revamped it all.
Okay.
And that's where all of us actually took about the part to write the first draft of the script, but Nicole like revamped it and she made it better.
So it has input from everybody.
Yes.
It really does.
Yes.
That's cool. That's very, very cool. Even Zapata himself? Did you have your input in the film?
I was not involved in the script.
You weren't involved in the script at all?
No.
Was there any improv involved?
Improv?
Like when you were filming, did you
Yes.
actually?
Well, actually, I was not the first person to be Zapata.
Okay.
I actually just showed up that day, and then he wasn't there, the
man.
first Zapata. So I was unanimously chosen to be the next Zapata, and I had no idea. I didn't even know my lines, which is why at the beginning of the film, the lines are a little bit choppy and awkward.
Okay.
But
All
it gets better.
Well, so now we're going to talk about you, since we skipped over you, not purposely. So let's get into you and what you've done on the film.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I worked on the script for about 12 hours, I'd say. And it was the night before we had our first showing, so
Oh, wow.
I stayed up till 4 in the morning, which was pretty painful, but we eventually pulled through and we got the film done. I also acted as a soldier on the most part of the movie because we were very low on people, and I just so happened to be there, present. Then the narration, which I also worked with Nicole Rios, as you will see on the film, we have like sections where we have actually Zapata narrating what was happening during the revolution.
Very cool. Very, very cool. All right. So let's talk about the screenings of the films that you guys have had. Director, real quick. And you guys have had the film screened here at the actual movie theater, right?
Yes.
And that was during the Borderlands Film Festival?
Yes.
And you've got a couple more screenings coming up. But how did it feel to see your movie on the big screen?
It felt wonderful. I think it was like all of our work put into like it bloomed. It was something good that something that came out from. So it in a way I felt really glad that all my time that I invested in the editing and doing the movie, filming the movie, it was worthwhile.
Very
I spent about 34 to 40 hours just editing. So I was really
imagine
glad.
that's probably time. Aside from being time consuming, it's stressful and it's energy consuming. Yeah, so to be able to see it, and as you guys, for the energy that you guys put into the film, which is also extensive, how did it feel to see you on the big screen? How did that feel?
Well, it was a little bit embarrassing
Really?
because one of the first screening, my parents were there.
Okay.
And you know us Mexicans are very loud and showy.
Okay.
But it was really interesting because I was able to see myself, well, obviously from a different perspective from the outside, not only as me acting. I could see obviously all my flaws because I was able to look at it from a different perspective. But it felt really cool to see myself, in that light.
Awesome. Very, very cool. Now, how was the audience's response?
Well, they liked it a lot, especially when we showed it at our local cinema.
Okay.
They commended us for it, especially on things like audio and angles, and that was a lot due to the director's part. He worked, what was it, 34 to 40 hours on it?
Yeah, you just said you
During
spent
break.
like 40 hours editing and cutting together, huh?
That's very, very hard to do.
Yeah.
If anyone knows.
Very cool. That's awesome. And plans for the future. You guys got a couple more screenings coming up. Now, you guys said that even though it's been shown, it's still kind of a work in progress. What's the next step? For many of you, whichever one wants to.
Just minor details,
minor
things like
details?
the final end credits, some subtitles that may have been missed or misspelled, just small things like that. No major changes.
Okay. Now, the most important thing is, what do you expect people to get out of it when they watch? And I'm going to ask each of you this. I want everybody's different opinion on this. It's, what do you expect your viewers, the viewers of the movie, to get out of it, to walk out of the movie feeling?
Well, I see two scenarios. The first is somebody who already knows the Mexican Revolution, and him or her seeing all these characters interact and follow the history correctly, I think it would be very cool for them because they would already know, some of the other backgrounds that we can't get into the movie due to the time limit that we were under. And for people that don't know Mexican Revolution, it would just be like a little insight into it, and they would be able to see one of the main revolutionaries, Zapata, and how he dealt with all of his problems.
Very, very cool. Now, from your perspective, what would you like people to
From my
to get out of it?
perspective, I've had a personal experience in a program called Beyond the Wall, where I talked to this girl from Mexican high school, and I asked her a question, and I was like, "Do you know who Álvaro Obregón is?" And she answered, "Oh, it's just a street here." And I found it really funny. And then I was like, "No, seriously." And she seriously answered, "I don't know."
And she was from this side of the border, or
No, she's from Mexico.
Wow.
And I was surprised that not even a Mexican, if you want to say a pure Mexican, didn't know about their history. And so I wonder how many people in Mexico do not know the Mexican history, or at least accurate and kind of unbiased Mexican history. And I feel like if that's why we showed this film on Mexico as well, so people could see their history on a movie, which is very rare to see sometimes. And I would like everyone who sees the movie to get at least, if not everything, but some kind of hint of what these characters in history did for Mexico.
Wow. Very, very cool. That's awesome.
I think I'd like them to get interested in the topic, if they don't know about the Mexican Revolution and they just saw the movie, for them to get interested in the topic and maybe find a way to explore it more and become more knowledgeable about their origins.
No, I'm intrigued by your character because she's kind of a Joan of Arc in one sense, She's and that's a very interesting character to I mean, obviously Zapata is the focus of the film, but and as the main revolutionary, but it was a much larger movement, and there were other people that were passionate, and they had to find their own way. They had to figure out how to find their own way. And even though you're not the main character, you're still a very important part of the whole story. And I think that's very cool, very, very cool. I'm glad that you were able to make it to this with us. All right, so let's hear your perspective. What do you expect people to come out of when they watch the movie?
Well, I do not only expect people to have fun and enjoy our film, but I also want them to understand what the Mexican Revolution was and who Zapata really was, because we have films from Emiliano Zapata, but they were from a long time ago. But since we're now at a modern era, we want to, we want to show it to them in our perspective, how we're protagonizing him and his ways he dealt with the leaders and everything.
Very awesome. Very, very awesome. Like you mentioned before, it's just something that's not taught. I mean, even like you said, hasn't been a movie made about it in a long time, and people even in Mexico aren't learning their own history. No, what would you expect people to come out?
Just like everyone else said, I hope that when they leave the theater or wherever they're watching it from, that they took some type of new information about the Mexican Revolution. And like you said, we're one of the very, very few schools that teach about the just Mexican history in general. And hopefully when people watch this film, it'll bring attention to it, and hopefully more schools will be able to provide that opportunity to learn about the Mexican history. And yeah.
It's very, very cool. That's still very cool. So besides this film, you guys worked on other projects. You mentioned a documentary that you worked on, where you interviewed humanitarians and you interviewed these militias, the militia that patrols, private citizens that patrol the border. Now, without getting too, keeping it apolitical, without mentioning any particular elected officials, how do you feel about this current state of emergency on the southwest border that's been declared? Whoever is willing to comment.
Well, in my opinion, I don't see a use for it because there's still going to be problems in our border either way. And then people from all over the world are looking at us, and it's just sad how Nogales gets the attention, national attention, just because of this problem, when people haven't been here and they don't know how we are as a community, because when something bad happens, it usually goes nationwide. And
Of course.
Yeah.
Like, there's a fentanyl bust, the largest fentanyl bust, and that went nationwide. But when there's so many good things that happen, like this film that you guys just did, something that's incredible, that's positive, and we need to promote that as much as possible. Now, one question, that keeping it as simple as possible, do you guys feel safe living on the border?
Yes, I do.
No.